Across the endless vastness of the multiverse, countless realities float like fragile lanterns in an infinite ocean of stars. Some are governed by science, some by magic, and some by forces that defy classification. Yet beyond all these realms, in the deep silence between existence and non-existence, stir beings of such incomprehensible power that the fabric of reality itself shivers in their presence. Two such entities, each from a different multiverse, would one day meet, and the result would echo across every plane of being. In the Marvel multiverse, the being known as Galactus had slumbered in the vast blackness of space, having fed on countless worlds for eons. But this was not the Galactus known the most, a towering giant who hungered for planetary energy. This was his true form, now fully awakened after absorbing the energies of not just planets, but celestial nexuses, dead timelines, and forgotten dimensions. He no longer needed machines, heralds, or declarations. He was no longer merely a Devourer of Worlds. He was a force of balance, entropy, and rebirth. Where he passed, stars wept and dimensions folded under the weight of his presence. Even the cosmic entities, eternity, infinity, the living tribunal, now regarded him with a caution bordering on fear. The resurrection of his true form was triggered when the celestial archive of Vortex, an ancient and forbidden relic that connected all realities, was shattered. The resulting surge of cosmic energy pierced the multiverse like a dagger, tearing open rifts between realms never meant to meet. Far away, in the Ben 10 multiverse, a similar disturbance was felt. At the very edge of time, the forge of creation flickered unnaturally. There, the celestial sapiens, beings of impossible might and authority, began to sense an anomaly that should not exist. Something vast, alien, and corrosive was bleeding into their reality. At the center of this realm, a lone celestial sapien sat on a throne of shifting galaxies. Alien X, the fusion of Serena, voice of love, Bellicus, voice of rage, and Ben Tennyson, voice of reason. He had matured greatly since his earliest conflicts. The days of indecisiveness were behind him. With time and experience, Ben had gained the trust of Serena and Bellicus. Now, he was no longer a passenger, but an equal. Alien X stood not merely as protector of the universe, but guardian of all reality threads tied to Ben's multiverse. And now he saw a wave of cosmic erosion, a spreading collapse of order, time, and even memory itself, bleeding from the crack caused by the vortex explosion. Galactus, in his true form, was consuming more than matter. He was digesting concepts. Galactus was evolving. The Council feared this being, not because of his appetite, but because he had become a living equation of cosmic finality, something that celestial sapiens, all their power, might not be able to fully understand, let alone stop. In the heart of the rupture between multiverses, a neutral space was formed, a rift where laws from both multiverses merged in chaotic fashion. There, timelines twisted like stormy seas, and stars were born and died within seconds. It was in this unstable breach that Alien X arrived. Floating amid an endless void of dying realities, Alien X extended his senses, feeling the pulse of every collapsing realm touched by Galactus's hunger. With a mere thought, he reversed several timeline deaths, stitching together the existence of species long consumed. But then a shadow moved through the void. Galactus entered, his true form too vast, too alien to be seen fully. To Alien X, he appeared not as a humanoid giant, but as a cosmic monolith, shifting with fractals, equations, and swirling galaxies within his structure. His voice was thunder layered over silence. You are of lesser multiverse. You cannot comprehend what I am becoming. Stand aside. Alien X did not flinch. He replied with calm authority, his voice carrying the weight of the entire Celestial Alcipian race. I am the defender of all timelines that branch from this space. You have trespassed across laws not meant to be broken. Leave or be unmade. A pause. In that moment, stars billions of light years away blinked out of existence as Galactus fed, not on energy, but on possibility. This was no longer a question of survival or dominance. It was a question of multiversal sovereignty. As Galactus grew, his presence began warping even the forge of creation. Celestial sapiens became erratic. Some even began to vanish, erased from ever having been. Ben realized Galactus was not simply feeding on realities. He was beginning to overwrite them, replacing them with his own cosmic programming. Alien X reached deep into the heart of all timelines, gathering the strength of every version of Ben Tennyson across the infinite branches of existence. He stood now not just as a celestial Alcipian, but as the will of the Ben 10 multiverse incarnate. The final warning was given, and ignored, as the rift between their realms began to stabilize, ready to burst into permanent fusion. Both titans took position. The storm of universes swirled around them. Time bent and screamed. Matter cried out in protest. Alien X's form shone with the light of countless realities. Galactus's true form pulsed with a hunger of infinity. They did not fight for pride. They fought because only one multiverse could survive. Reality bled. The rift between multiverses was no longer a scar. It was a gaping wound spilling timeline, laws of physics, and fragments of lost civilizations into a collapsing nexus. And in its center stood two cosmic titans. Alien X, embodiment of omniversal balance, and True Full Power Galactus, a force of multiversal rebirth through annihilation. Time cracked. Light bent in unnatural ways. At this scale, Clash would not merely shake worlds. It would decide which realities had the right to exist. Alien X moved first, not with fists but with thought. The space around Galactus was erased. Not warped, erased. An entire dimension was blinked out from under Galactus's colossal feet. Galactus, unimpressed, reformed the lost dimension behind him, integrating it into his own structure. He did not speak. Instead, a wave of gravitational collapse surged outward from him like a heartbeat. Alien X was caught in it, his form distorting, his three minds faltering for a fraction of a second as black hole singularities opened around him. But Alien X was beyond time. In that second, he paused the gravitational field, reversed the flow of entropy in his local sector, and froze the space surrounding Galactus. "You absorb reality," Alien X intoned, "but I am the will of reality." He raised his hand and, without gesture, undid Galactus's presence in 4 timelines simultaneously. To the minds of any observer, if any had survived, it would seem as if Galactus never existed in those threads. And yet, true Galactus remained. Why? Because this form of Galactus did not exist in traditional linear time. He existed across a metatemporal axis, anchored in a realm Alien X could barely reach. Galactus didn't dodge or resist the erasure. It simply did not apply to him. He reached forward, and the very idea of Alien X being immune to causality was devoured. Then the battle became violent. Alien X summoned a weapon of pure paradox. A loop spear formed from a moment when he first gained control over celestial Alcipian nature. He hurled at Galactus, and the weapon struck across multiple moments in time, attacking Galactus in the past, present, and future all at once. Galactus broke the paradox, unraveling the logic that made the weapon possible. From his mouth, he unleashed a cosmic null pulse, a beam that didn't destroy, it converted. As it struck Alien X, Ben felt his core essence begin to redefine, to be rewritten in the cosmic language of Galactus's truth. But Alien X's will was strong, with Bellicus raging, Serena harmonizing, and Ben focused like never before. Alien X surged back. He expanded, his form growing larger than planets, and cast Galactus into a mirror dimension formed from alternate possibilities. "Let's see how you survive your own hunger," Alien X declared. Inside this realm, Galactus began consuming endless versions of himself. Futures where he failed, timelines where he perished, until he began to destabilize. Alien X struck again, this time not with force, but with compassion. He reached into Galactus's origin, attempting to remind him of Galen of Te, the mortal being he once was. For a brief moment, Galactus hesitated. His cosmic engine paused. But then Galactus's voice rumbled like the cracking of eternity. "That name no longer binds me." He expanded beyond the mirror realm, shattering its borders. From his palm, he released the equation of unbeing, a code that erased probabilities. Alien X dodged, then blocked, then split into multiple quantum cells, each engaging Galactus on a different probability path. Still, Galactus adapted. He absorbed knowledge from each branch, learning from Alien X's attacks. He was becoming immune to Alien X's every strategy. Alien X knew he had one last move, a technique forbidden by the Council of Celestial Sapiens. He merged every version of himself across all timelines into a single luminous being, the embodiment of absolute Alien X. His body glowed with the fires of collapsing stars. His mind stretched across eons. For the first time, he became what even his race feared, a being without opposition within his multiverse. He charged at Galactus. Their collision ended a universe. Galaxies vaporized. Dimensions crumbled. Celestial observers in distant multiverses went blind from the sheer idea of what occurred. And in the aftermath, a floating silence. Alien X knelt in the void, his form broken, flickering. Galactus stood, damaged, dim, but standing. His voice was low, almost respectful. "You are the greatest offender I have ever faced. But I am the balance now. I am the new law." He placed his hand upon Alien X's chest. "Rest." And with that, Alien X was not destroyed, but de-anchored. His essence scattered across the time stream, preserved as echoes in multiversal memory. Galactus turned to the fracture between their realities and sealed it, not with power, but with dominion. The Ben 10 multiverse was preserved, but changed. Now watched, measured, accounted for. Galactus did not celebrate. He simply moved on, his hunger not for flesh or energy, but for meaning, for the next layer of truth. And somewhere, far across timelines, a whisper echoed, "We'll meet again." Alien X was not gone. He was waiting, evolving,